The first time my mother called me a parasite, it was in a room full of people who were clapping for my daughter. My name is Colette Arden. I am 41 years old, and I work as a compliance analyst for a health tech company in Chicago. Most days my job is boring in the way that pays the bills, spreadsheets, audit trails, risk reports. But that night, in the private dining room of a steakhouse downtown, my life felt like a courtroom drama written by someone who hated women. My daughter, Magnolia, sat at the head of the long table like she belonged there, because she did. Her navy dress fit perfectly. Her honor cords rested against her collarbone, and when the waiter set down dessert menus, the whole table was still buzzing from the ceremony earlier, the way the university president shook her hand and paused long enough for every camera to catch it. Magnolia graduated top of her class, full scholarship for medical school, research grant, a recommendation letter from a cardiothoracic surgeon she shadowed. The kind of story people love to share because it makes them feel like the world is fair. I watched her smile and thought, I did that. Not alone, not by magic, not because life was kind, but because I worked myself to the bone in quiet ways nobody claps for. My father, Hayes, sat at the far end with his phone face down like it was itching to ring. My mother, Waverly, sat beside him with her posture straight enough to slice air. She barely touched her food. She kept staring at Magnolia as if my daughter's success was something she wanted to take credit for, but couldn't figure out how. Aunt and uncles kept lifting their glasses. Brecken, my cousin, filmed everything for social media. My Aunt Rue dabbed at her eyes and kept saying, "Baby, you did it. You really did it." Magnolia thanked everyone with that calm voice she's had since she was 10, the voice of a kid who learned early not to ask for too much. I kept waiting for the moment to hand her my gift, a leather folder on the chair next to mine, heavy with paperwork and meaning. I'd planned it all week, the timing, the words, the way her eyes would widen. But then my mother set down her fork like she was placing a gavel. "She gets it from us," Waverly said, loud enough to cut through the laughter. "The brains, the discipline, that's our bloodline." The table quieted. Magnolia's smile stayed in place, but I saw the tiny pause in her breathing, the way her shoulders stiffened. She wasn't afraid of my mother. She was tired of her. Aunt Rue tried to soften it. "Well, she's lucky to have support." My mother's eyes slid toward me, slow and sharp. "Support," she repeated. "Yes, real support, not the kind where grown adults think they can coast forever." I felt the shift in the room before anyone else did. The air changed. Like everyone suddenly remembered we were related to each other in complicated ways. "Mom," I said quietly, already knowing she wouldn't stop. "No, this is perfect," she replied. "Because it's time someone says it out loud. Magnolia is moving into her med school housing in a few months. She's starting her adult life, which means you need to start yours, Colette." My father's jaw tightened. He didn't look at me. He looked at his water glass like it had answers. "You're 41, my mother continued, her voice sweet in that poisonous way she perfected when I was a teenager. "A degree, a job you claim is demanding, yet you still live in our house like a permanent guest." A couple of cousins stared down at their plates. Someone cleared their throat. The waiter approached with a bottle of wine, saw our faces, and quietly disappeared. I kept my expression neutral because I learned long ago that reacting is what she wanted. My mother didn't fight with fists. She fought with eyes, with tone, with the story she told about you when you weren't there to defend yourself. "I contribute," I said, measured. "I pay for plenty." Waverly laughed once, not even trying to hide the contempt. "Buying groceries sometimes isn't paying for plenty. You've been living rent-free, Colette. You raised Magnolia under our roof and we were generous. But she's grown now. There is no excuse left." Magnolia's fingers tightened around her fork. She stared at the tablecloth like she was forcing herself not to speak. My mother turned to the family, making it a performance. "Starting tomorrow, she pays market rent or she moves out." Silence, thick, awkward. The kind people remember and whisper about later. My father finally spoke, soft but firm, like he was reading something he memorized. $2,600 a month. That's what rentals go for around us." I watched him say it and realized something that made my stomach cold. He believed it. Or he had convinced himself he did, because believing it made him feel like the good guy. Aunt Rue tried a gentle protest. "Maybe this isn't the time." "It is exactly the time," Waverly snapped. "Because Magnolia succeeded despite distractions, despite having a mother who never became anything." There it was, the real punch. Not rent, not responsibility, just humiliation served hot in front of the one person I'd spent my entire life protecting. Magnolia's eyes met mine across the table, dark and steady. She was trying to decide if she should defend me. I gave her the smallest shake of my head, not because I didn't want her to speak, because I wanted her to enjoy one single night without my mother poisoning it. My hands stayed in my lap. Under the tablecloth, my fingertips brushed the edge of the leather folder beside me. Inside it were documents I had carried for years like a secret bruise. Proof, receipts, paper trails, the kind of truth that doesn't care how loudly someone lies. And as my mother kept talking, her voice rising, her eyes bright with certainty, my mind slipped backward in time. I was 26 when Waverly called me crying, saying the mortgage was behind. Hayes had lost a contract. They were days from foreclosure. I was a single mom then, working late nights, saving every dollar. I had a small inheritance from my grandmother, not huge, but enough to change my life if I used it carefully. I remember sitting on my apartment floor with Magnolia asleep on my chest, listening to my mother sob into the phone and thinking, if they lose the house, they'll blame me forever. So I helped them, quietly, legally, with conditions that sounded fair at the time. And then, for the next 15 years, they told everyone a different story. They told people I moved back home because I couldn't hack it. They called it charity. They called me lucky. They called me dependent. And I let them. Not because I agreed, because peace was cheaper than war and my daughter deserved calm. But sitting there, watching Magnolia's jaw tighten as my mother tried to make my daughter's graduation into my public shamming, I felt something in me finally click into place. Some people mistake silence for weakness. My mother leaned back, satisfied, like she'd just corrected a misbehaving child. "So," she said, "what will it be, Colette? You can transfer rent starting tomorrow, or you can pack." I looked around the table. People wouldn't meet my eyes, not because they thought my mother was right, because they didn't want to be next. My heartbeat stayed steady. My voice came out calm. "Okay," I said. My mother blinked, surprised. "Okay." "Yes," I replied. "This is a great time to talk about the house." I reached for the leather folder beside my chair and placed it on my lap. The motion was small, but it drew every gaze like a magnet. Magnolia's eyes widened slightly. She knew that folder. She'd seen it tucked away in my closet, the one thing I always grabbed first during fire drills and apartment moves. She asked me once what it was, and I'd told her, just boring adult paperwork. My mother's chin lifted. "What are you doing?" I unlatched the folder slowly, like I was opening a book I'd memorized. "Since we're discussing market rent," I said, "I think everyone should understand what they're actually sitting in." My father's face changed first, a flicker of recognition, a shadow of fear. And when I slid the first document across the table, the one with the county seal and the recorded stamp, Uncle Thayer picked it up and went completely still. He read it once, then again. Then he looked up at me, voice low like he didn't want to be the one to say it. "Colette," he murmured, "this says you're the owner." Thayer's words landed like a dropped plate. For a heartbeat, no one moved. My mother's lips parted, then pressed together so tightly the skin around them blanched. My father stared at the paper as if it might rearrange itself if he waited long enough. "That's not what that means," Waverly snapped, reaching across the table. Her hand shook as she grabbed the document. "This is just paperwork. You helped us once. That doesn't make you the owner." I let her have it. I let her read every line. The date, the transfer, the signature she'd signed with a pen I bought her because she said it felt lucky. Uncle Thayer leaned closer, adjusting his glasses. It's a quitclaim deed, he said carefully. Recorded, notarized, this isn't symbolic. Aunt Rue covered her mouth. Someone sucked in a sharp breath. The room filled with the quiet panic of people realizing they'd been wrong for a very long time. My father finally looked at me. His voice was hoarse. You said it was temporary. It was, I replied, until you stopped paying me back. Waverly slammed the paper onto the table. We paid you something. $72,000, I said. Over 3 years, then nothing. And I didn't push because I believed you when you said things would stabilize. I opened the folder again. More pages, bank statements, insurance policies, tax forms. I slid them out one by one, neat, labeled, impossible to argue with. I've paid the mortgage every month for 15 years, I continued. Property taxes, insurance, repairs, the roof, the furnace, the plumbing you blamed on bad pipes. My mother's face flushed red. You lived there, that was your benefit. I nodded. And you lived there too, without rent, that was our agreement. Magnolia's chair creaked softly as she shifted. She was staring at the documents like she was looking at a map that suddenly made sense. You told everyone you were supporting us, I said, keeping my voice level. You let people believe I was failing, that I needed you. Meanwhile, I was carrying the house and raising a child. My father rubbed his temples. We never thought you'd hold this over us. I never did, I said, until tonight. Silence again, heavier this time. Aunt Rue spoke first, her voice trembling. Waverly, you told me for years Colette lived with you because she couldn't manage alone. My mother snapped her head toward her. Are you questioning me now? I'm questioning the math, Rue replied softly. Uncle Thayer cleared his throat. So if you own the house, what does that mean about the rent? I met his eyes. It means asking me to pay rent was inappropriate, especially in front of my daughter. Magnolia finally spoke. Grandma, she said quietly, you told my friends' parents my mom never amounted to much. Waverly spun toward her. I never said that. You did, Magnolia replied, calm but shaking. At my scholarship dinner, you said I was lucky I didn't end up like her. The room seemed to tilt. My chest tightened. Not from surprise, but from the confirmation of something I'd always suspected. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. My father stared at the table. That was the moment I chose. I pulled out the final document, thicker paper, a formal letterhead. This, I said, is from my attorney. My father reached for it instinctively. His hands trembled as he read. His shoulders sagged like someone had finally removed a weight he'd been pretending wasn't there. What does it say? Waverly demanded. He swallowed. It's a notice, 30 days. Aunt Rue gasped. Brecken muttered something under his breath. Thayer leaned back slowly. You're evicting us, my mother whispered. I'm reclaiming my property, I said, after being publicly humiliated at my daughter's graduation. You can't do this, she said louder now. We're family. You stopped acting like that a long time ago, I replied. My father looked at me, eyes wet. If you had just reminded us. I did, I said. Every year when I filed taxes, every time insurance came up, you laughed it off. You preferred the version where you were rescuing me. Magnolia reached for my hand under the table. Her grip was strong. A waiter appeared with dessert menus, froze, and retreated. So what now? Thayer asked gently. Now, I said, closing the folder, they find a place they can afford. I list the house. I move forward. My mother's voice broke. Everyone will know. They already do, I said. They just didn't know the truth. Magnolia stood. Mom, she said softly, can we go? I stood with her, chairs scraped. No one stopped us. As we walked out, my mother's voice rose behind us, frantic, angry, unraveling. My father tried to calm her. Aunt Rue cried quietly. Outside, the city air felt clean. Magnolia exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. Did you really plan this? She asked. I planned to protect you, I said. Everything else was patience. She hugged me hard. I'm proud of you. Quick pause. When I'm editing these late at night, I get tired. Your comments are what keep me going. Like, subscribe, and tell me your city or country. All right, back to the story. We drove home in silence. The house was dark when we pulled in. Magnolia went upstairs. I sat in the living room I'd paid for piece by piece, surrounded by photos of a life I'd built quietly. My phone buzzed. A text from Thayer. Call me tomorrow. I'll help them find something reasonable. I set the phone down and looked at the front door, knowing they would come home eventually. And this time, they would have to walk into the truth. The headlights swept across the living room walls before the engine shut off. I didn't move. I stayed on the couch, hands folded, listening to the familiar sounds I had paid for my entire adult life. The creak of the driveway, the click of the car doors, silence, then the front porch steps. Instead of the usual rattle of keys, the doorbell rang. That sound did something to me. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was acknowledgement. For the first time, they weren't assuming access, they were asking. I stood and opened the door. My parents looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, emotionally. My mother's mascara had smudged. My father's shoulders sagged. They stood there like strangers who had overstayed their welcome. We need to talk, my father said. I know, I replied. You have 30 days. Waverly's mouth twisted. You really intend to throw us out? I intend to move forward, I said. You can call it whatever makes you feel better. She stepped inside without waiting to be invited. Old habits die hard. She looked around the living room, eyes scanning the furniture, the photos, the fresh paint I'd chosen years ago. You redecorated, she said faintly. I maintained the property, I corrected. My father closed the door behind them. We never meant to hurt you. That's the problem, I said. You never meant anything, you just did it. They sat, I didn't. Waverly clasped her hands together. We gave you a roof when you needed one. You lived under mine, I said, for 15 years. Silence again, but this one wasn't sharp, it was tired. Magnolia's footsteps sounded on the stairs. She appeared at the edge of the room, wearing soft clothes, hair pulled back, still glowing with that quiet strength I'd spent my life nurturing. Hi, she said politely. Waverly's eyes filled. Congratulations, she murmured. You did very well. Magnolia nodded. Thank you. She came to stand beside me, shoulder brushing mine. I felt steadier instantly. There's something else, I said, reaching for the folder still on the table. Something I planned to give Magnolia tonight before things went sideways. I pulled out the remaining documents and handed them to my daughter. Her brow furrowed as she read, then her eyes widened. Mom, she whispered, this is a trust. From your great-grandmother, I said. She left it for your education, I managed it, grew it, protected it. Magnolia looked up, stunned. There's $50,000 here. For living expenses, I said. For emergencies, for your future. Waverly gasped. You hid that too. I safeguarded it, I replied. Just like I safeguarded everything else. Magnolia hugged me hard, arms tight around my waist. You took care of everyone, she said softly, even when they didn't deserve it. My father wiped his eyes. We didn't know. You didn't want to, I said. That's the difference. They stayed quiet after that. No more arguments, no more accusations, just the weight of truth settling where denial used to live. Over the next month, I watched them pack. I watched my mother mourn a version of herself that never existed. I watched my father grow quieter, humbler. Uncle Thayer helped them find a modest apartment. They moved without another scene. The day they left, my mother stood in the doorway and looked back one last time. I hope this was worth it, she said. I nodded. It already was. After they were gone, I walked through every room. The house felt lighter, cleaner, honest. I listed it the following week. It sold quickly. I paid off the remaining mortgage. I reinvested the profit. I downsized into a place that fit my life instead of my past. Magnolia left for medical school that fall, confident and supported, never doubting where she came from. As for me, I slept better than I had in years. Because for the first time, I wasn't surviving someone else's version of me. I was finally living my own.